Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Well, as you can see by the opening here, I had a friend drop off a project with me here to work on, and the people who drop off something and want it done, they know what they need to bring over to get the gears lubricated. Anyway, it's my buddy has a pickup there. He's having some transmission trouble, so we're going to take a look at it. Even though he brought over some snacks for me there, I think today ought to be the day that we get this Rhino done. Been sitting in here for quite a while. I've been waiting on a couple friends of mine who said that they had a 11mm torque adapter, and none of them ever came through. Let me get this thing positioned here. None of them ever came through with the torque adapter tool, and I went to a couple places to try to find it, and all I could find was complete sets for about 150 bucks. And considering I don't have a torque adapter set and I haven't had a reason to use one yet, I can't see purchasing a set just to finish this project. So let me show you what I did. I went to the tool store and I bought an 11mm wrench here. This happens to be an 11mm Husky brand from Home Depot. And what I was going to do was I was going to cut this off, and I have a broken socket here. This is a Craftsman socket that used to have a screwdriver tip in it. It was broken. Now I have a whole bunch of these. So what I planned to do was I was going to weld this to the end of this and make my own torque adapter. Well, when my friend was over here the other day, I think I mentioned it on one of my other videos, we were looking at it, trying to figure out a way to do this. The welder that I have is not the greatest, and I don't weld enough to stay proficient. Now, this isn't something that is a life or death matter, and it probably would have held. Maybe, maybe not. If I would have to weld it again, whatever, not a big deal. This isn't anything holding, suspension, anything like that. But what we figured out after looking at this was, check this out. That fits in there. Now, there's a little bit of gap, but the torque wrench fits into here, so we put this up on the head stud, use this, and torqued it. Now when you use one of these, an actual torque adapter, dog bone, whatever you want to call it, crow's foots, there's some that are open-ended that look like that when you put them on. You have to do some math because you're adding to the length of this, so there's a whole formula to figure it out. And then if you're going at an angle, now this one is almost exactly at a 90-degree angle. If you're at a 90-degree angle, there's no math required. So 41 foot-pounds is 41 foot-pounds. If you're extended like this, then 41 foot-pounds, I don't remember if it's more or less. There's more leverage, so anyway, that's how we solve that problem. So what we are going to do next is install the camshaft. Hooray! Now this requires a little bit of looking in the book here. RTFM for those of you who watch my channel. We have to make sure that the cylinder is on top dead center. And then you have to look at how the cam is set in here. So I'm going to get the manual brought up on the computer and we will take a look. There we go, we got the manual. We've already installed the cylinder head gasket, brand new cylinder head. We have head studs, so we went with a different torque value than what is listed here. But we did use the proper sequence. And now we're getting to the installing the camshaft and the camshaft sprocket. So this here is the most important step, or one of the most important steps in this entire process, is ensuring that you have your engine timed properly. So you need to get your engine to top dead center, TDC. And this tells you how to do it here by turning the crankshaft counterclockwise with a wrench and aligning the T mark on the rotor with the stationary pointer on the AC magneto to get your engine in the top dead center, the piston at the top dead center. All right. What does all that mean? Well, on the Yamaha Rhino, it is a minor pain in the butt. Well, let me grab this fancy light that somebody gave me. I don't know if it's going to help me or not here. And I showed this when I took it apart. So you have to take this whole cover off, and then there's a little tiny cover right down in there you got to take off. Now I have this mirror with a light on it. And we can look into this inspection port here. And you probably can't see it on here, but it is lined up in there. So that's how you have to do that on here. It's a pain in the butt. On a motorcycle, it's usually easier because you're not working around this. See, this fuel cell's in the way. Yeah, you can almost see right there's the inspection port, but you can't see in there. So, well, let's see here. This help any? No. But you can see where the inspection hole is. So that's lined up. So I'm going to get the camshaft and we will be right back. All right, now we need to install the camshaft now that we have top dead center located. And there's a whole bunch of steps here, and it's all about aligning this decompressor on the camshaft sprocket to this little center part. It's pretty complex. It's kind of a pain in the ass, and you have to read it closely. And I can go over here and kind of show you what's going on with it. So the camshaft is in here. It tells you that there's some holes that you have to make sure are in the right location on here. So this small hole should be kind of on the up. And these are the decompressor arms right here. And there's the little pin that it says you're supposed to line it up with. So you have to read through this several times and make sure you have it correct. It's a pain. You're going to want to double check it, triple check it, and read the instructions several times. So once I have that done, then I can install these bolts and these little cover pieces that go over this. And that's another thing that's a pain in the butt. So you need to install one. Usually what I do is I install one and get it finger tight, and then I turn this engine enough to bring the other side up, install that one, torque the second one, then go back to the first one and torque that. And let me read this and make sure. Okay, this does not say anything about Loctite, because sometimes they need a little bit of Loctite. So I'm gonna quadruple check this, and then I am going to get those tightened up and we will come back. Both of the bolts that hold the sprocket to the camshaft have been torqued. There's a couple other things you can check after you make sure you have this this T in line down here. Let's see if we can see it on here very good. There is a mark right there on the cam shaft sprocket. And there's another one on the back, which we are probably not going to be able to see very good. And there's one on the top, which is now covered by this. So you want to make sure all those things are aligned. So you check the T mark down here, and then 1, 2, 3. Like I said, this one we can't see, but that's okay. And then you can also check to make sure that these holes are on top of the cams. That one there, and that one there. So once you're satisfied you have all that stuff where you want it, then we can put our cam chain tensioner in. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Cam chain tensioner seems to kick a lot of people's butt for some reason. I don't know why. So first and foremost, there's, maybe you can't read it very good here, but it says up. So let me guess, that's gonna be up. So the first thing you got to do is get this bolt out of the end of it. I've already loosened that, it's not that loose. You can just set that down. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have a small flat tip screwdriver. And I don't know if you can see inside of there, just barely, I can see it. There is a place for the screwdriver to go in here. So then you just turn it clockwise and it retracts this. Now they sell a special tool, or you can make a special tool for this, but it's really just a matter of having a little bit of dexterity in your fingers. You turn it, if you let it loose, let me show you here, it's gonna retract, it's gonna extend, I mean to say. So we're retracting it. It's got a spring, it's spring loaded in there. And then you put it in there and you try your hardest to get these things started. There you go. Which one started? It's really going to hold with one for now. And drop the other one. There it is. Line the other one up. That one started. Zip it in. And these, of course, have a torque value. We'll look it up in the manual. And that's it. Of course, once we get it tightened up, we have to put this bolt back in here. So I'll look up the torque, I'll torque those down, and we'll move on to the next step, which should be getting our cam cover, valve cover installed. At this point, we're ready to put on the valve cover, or the cam cover, whatever you'd like to call it. Now there is no gasket on this, so you use a gasket sealant for this. And if you remember when we took this all apart, I did this little diagram so that we would know this is the front, so this is the way it goes, so I know where all these bolts go. And I have coated the cams and the rocker arms here on the cam cover with some engine assembly lube. And it's highly recommended. You could even put just oil on there if you'd like, but it's highly recommended that you provide some lubrication. Okay. And in we go. It's almost where it needs to be. Let's see here. Now comes the fun of putting all these bolts in here. And there is a torque sequence for these as well. You have to go, you know, like 1, 2, 3, whatever the order is for these. So let me get these all torqued down and we'll move on to the next step. Our pile of remaining hardware is getting pretty small. This is for the exhaust pipes, and this, I'm going to have to look. It's a clamp, I don't remember where it goes. Let's come over here and see if we can figure it out. Let's take a look here. So after I got the valve cover, the cam cover, torqued down, I put this inspection cover back on. I put the spark plug wire back on. I put this cover back on over here where the inspection hole is to check for top dead center, along with this ventilation tube here. I installed the exhaust head pipes. This is on, but I still have to move the clamp over. We've put the temperature sensor wire on and the carburetor is installed. I'm almost out of stuff to put on here. The airbox has to go on, and this piece here, which goes in here somewhere, something like this, we'll figure that out. This goes down here. And I need to find out what the hell this thing is for. It's probably nothing too crazy, nothing major, but we'll we'll get it figured out, and we will get the airbox on. I got the battery charging. We will check the oil, put some coolant in it, and hopefully we will start it up. That'd be nice to hear it running again. Something anyway. Okay, we got the airbox installed. This bad boy's back in here. Found out where that clamp goes. This hose is hooked up. All the hoses are hooked up. Throttle's hooked up. Oh, I was going to show you something. Pretty interesting here. So, if you watch my other video, I was working on this XR400. I'm just waiting on a couple carburetor jets to wrap that up. Well, I ordered a air filter for this thing, and ordered it from a place on eBay. When it came in, it was not the correct air filter. I knew immediately it wasn't the right air filter. So I emailed them, and they said, yeah, go ahead and just keep that one, and we'll send you the correct one. Well, look at the one that they sent me. It's for a Rhino 660, which is what I got here. So that's cool. I got a spare extra filter. I have not put coolant in it yet because I purchased this temp gauge here. So I think I'm going to install that before I put coolant in, because I have to make a cut on this coolant hose somewhere. I'm going to have to look it up and find out exactly where, and then I have to hook this thing up. So before I put coolant in it, I'm going to do that, because it doesn't make sense to add coolant and then cut that hose and then drain the coolant. But that being said, I could probably test it and at least see if it starts without coolant in it. It's not going to hurt anything. What do you think? Should we give her a shot? Okay, the battery was really dead. So I got the big booster on it here. I was trickle charging it, but it's just too dead. So let's see what we can do here. Yeah, you can see it's even still not turning over very good. Yeah! And that was shutting the choke off. But it does run. I didn't hear anything sound like it was falling apart. So I think we're going to be happy with that for now. Let me give her another shot. That's enough. We don't have the coolant in there. There's some coolant in there, but there's not enough. And we'll let the battery charge up here. Let me switch this thing to low amps. There we go. And I think that'll about do her for today. We got the engine all together. All the parts are on there. I just need to put the tunnel back on there, the tunnel cover, and the seats. No big deal. We'll install that temp gauge. I might actually make a separate video for that. But awesome. The Rhino is back up and running, and we'll see how she holds together for the season, which is right around the corner, a week or two. It could be out in the desert. I'll have to see when Mrs. Tom's Tinkering and Adventure, my beautiful trophy wife, is ready to go out to the desert, and we'll bring you all along with us. Well, if you enjoy watching these videos, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you're watching and you're not a subscriber and you'd like to see some more stuff happening here in my Global Domination Headquarters garage, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.